episode of the Cold Bananas Show. I'm John Hansen.
I'm Michael Ollinger.
And in this episode, we're going to look at some of the hot releases from August, which, to be honest, wasn't the hottest month, considering that it was a summer movie month. And I think we're starting with the dregs, with Happytime Murders. What did you think of that one?
Well, Happytime Murders, definitely it's going to be... I got to clear some space on my year-end list for Happytime Murders because it is one of the worst movies I've seen this year so far.
You're going to do a worst of list this year?
Oh, I think so. I think I have to do it if for no other reason than to malign Happytime Murders. Now, this kind of stings for me to say because if you're a fan of the show, then you know that I have a soft spot for Melissa McCarthy. I am very forgiving of Melissa McCarthy. I cannot forgive this movie. This is a terrible, terrible film. This is a one-joke movie. This is we're going to make puppets say and do naughty things. Aren't we clever? But there's nothing beyond that conceit. I started off wanting to like it, got bored relatively quickly, and then, out of my boredom, I thought of Team America World Police and started getting really angry. Because Team America World Police it was a similar concept, puppets in a rated R movie, but they really only concentrated on the fact they were puppets a few times. They had a lot of other jokes. It wasn't a crutch, and with this one, it's just so creatively bankrupt, and it would be one thing if the vulgar jokes landed, but they don't, and the story is hackneyed, which I guess they're trying to be a parody, but at the same time, there's no excuse for the type of laziness on display here. Melissa McCarthy kind of sleepwalks through her role. This is just sort of a void of entertainment, and I've always held that bad comedies are the worst type of bad movies, because you have a bad science fiction movie, or a bad horror movie, or a bad drama, you can laugh at it. A bad comedy, by its very nature, precludes the ability to laugh at the film. And so, yeah, this is probably one of, if not the worst film I've seen this year so far. So I would say 0 bananas.
Ouch. Okay. Now, you hear a lot about diversity in Hollywood, but yet most movies seem to star white people and black people. So this next one's refreshing from a diversity standpoint, Crazy Rich Asians. And is it also good on top of that?
It actually is. It's a standard, boy and girl try to, it's basically Meet the Parents gender flipped. Instead of Ben Stiller trying to win the approval of Robert De Niro, you have Constance Wu trying to win the approval of Michelle Yeoh. But it's sort of pitched at a different level. It's just that it's a story you've seen before. What makes it work is the performances, which are all incredibly charming. And Michelle Yeoh, who is really, really great playing this sort of very, very hemmed-in, matronly type figure who does a really, really good job with that work. Constance Wu is very charming. The entire cast does really solid work in the film. Besides the performances, what sets it apart is the fact that it's absolutely gorgeous to look at. This is, it's filmed in the middle of, Singapore, with these opulent buildings and just this lush foreign landscape. And as far as, it's kind of like locations porn, if you will. If you love pretty buildings and mountains and all of the greenery and everything in the Asian countryside, then holy hell, this is for you. And at the end of the day, it's not groundbreaking, but it's very, very charming, and I can completely understand why people are reacting to it the way that they are, and why it's not dropping at all at the box office, because it's very crowd-pleasing. And so I would say that this is definitely, I'd say, a solid 4 banana movie.
Okay. And next up is a movie that has been about 21 years in the making since the novel came out. Was it worth the wait for The Meg?
Well, I was, pardon the awful pun, chomping at the bit for this movie. I mean, Jason Statham fights a giant shark. I'm in. I even sprung for the extra to see this movie in IMAX because the only thing that could make the big shark movie cooler would be to make it bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And had Ruby Rose in it, who I'm a huge fan of. I also like Rainn Wilson, and he has a role in it. I mean, there's a lot that I was really looking forward to going into this, which is why it kind of stung that it was really disappointing. There are very few really cool set pieces with the shark. They cut away during what seems like should be the biggest, goriest parts of the movie. Like, they cheat away from all of the really cool, like, grisly shark stuff that you'd expect to see in a movie like this. And also, like, you can forego the gore if you can make up for it in suspense. Steven Spielberg did that expertly with Jaws. You can also add high camp to get around it, like Rennie Harlan did with Deep Blue Sea. This movie doesn't work on any of those levels. It's sort of very rote and very boring. I'm glad that Jason Statham is not playing a scientist like I thought he was. He's playing a rescuer, so that's slightly more believable. But it really it feels like it's, God, I'm in a bad pun frame of mind today. It feels like it's treading water for most of its runtime. And everything that looks cool in the trailers happens in the last 10-15 minutes of the movie. So I would say that this is definitely very skippable. I'd say let's go 1.5 bananas on this one.
So this movie is all wet? Is that what you're saying?
Hey-oh, yes indeedy.
It didn't make a splash?
No.
Okay. Next up is a Spike Lee joint. I feel like it's been a while since his last one. And it sounds like this one maybe was worth the wait. BlacKkKlansman.
Yeah, this sees Spike Lee sort of return to form. He can be hit or miss. Do the Right Thing was awesome. Malcolm X was amazing. I love 25th Hour. He Got Game was really, really good. But then again, you'll see occasionally stuff come out of nowhere, like She Hate Me, which I think maybe 3 people saw. Stuff like that sort of really misses the ball, like, and this does not. This finds Spike Lee very, very much charged up. He has a very, very distinct point of view. He has something he's really trying to say here with this movie, and he connects. He delivers a very powerful film. Has his sort of trademark, has his voice to it, has his anger behind it, and it is very, very powerful. At the same time, though, he really makes something entertaining here. It is not just a screed, it is not just a call to arms, it is also an intriguing story, and it can be fun at times, and it's loose in places where it needs to be. It still has sort of the preachiness that you would expect from a Spike Lee film, but up until the end of the movie, it's handled with some degree of subtlety. He's drawing parallels between the times when the film took place and right now, which is an important thing to do and helps make the movie that much more effective, that it's sort of this crucible-like comparison of the past to today. John David Washington, Denzel Washington's son, plays the lead here, and he's very, very good. He's every bit as charming of a screen presence as his father, and playing opposite him is Kylo Ren himself, Adam Driver, who is also spectacularly good. Topher Grace is very creepy, playing playing David Duke, the then head of the Ku Klux Klan. Laura Harrier does a fantastic job, sort of as the romantic lead, for lack of a better word. I mean, there's a lot to recommend about this movie. This is one of Spike Lee's. I would say this is probably his best film since 25th Hour, and and probably one of the finest films of the year.
Okay, and I assume that earns full marks.
Yes, the coveted 5 banana rating.
A whole bunch. Okay.
Yep.
Appropriately, we're going to close out the month of August with Operation Finale.
Yep, and I'm going to damn this movie with some faint praise. This is the type of highly competent, well-produced movie that is destined to grace the classrooms of lazy high school history teachers throughout history, throughout time, like going forward. Like, it is not groundbreaking, but it is sort of effective at telling a story that many people might not be familiar with. Oscar Isaac is really good. Ben Kingsley does a nice job of sort of humanizing his character, a horrible Nazi, one of the architects of the final solution, a guy named Adolf Eichmann. He humanizes him but still leaves him unsettling, sort of creepy. He does very good work here. The movie as a whole just sort of feels paint by numbers. It feels like you might have seen it before. It drags significantly in the middle. It just sort of seems kind of passionless, except for the 2 lead performances. So I would say probably 3 bananas for Operation Finale.
Okay. When they come out on streaming, I'm going to check out Crazy Rich Asians and BlacKkKlansman. And I might watch The Meg if it's completely free at some point. And Operation Finale looks like it's okay if you're into history.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And Happytime Murders, absolutely, everyone should skip that one.
Yes, skip it. If you actually have seen it already, find a way to do that Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind procedure and delete the portions of your brain that contain it. Save yourself some pain.
Gotcha. All right, thanks, Michael, and thank you for joining us for our August episode. We'll see you next time.